Okay, hey, I'm Darryl Learie. My full name is Darryl Wayne Wellington Learie, and this is my 23andme account where I submitted my DNA via a saliva swab. The date today is 2016, March 8th. Okay, so I'm gonna do a fairly comprehensive browse of my results. So first we're going to look at my Ancestry. Okay, I've got to sign in here. Okay, so looking at my Ancestry, I am 100% European, and I'm mostly Northwestern European. I'm 49.4% Finnish, 21.3% British and Irish, 0.7% French and German, and 0.6% Scandinavian. I'm also 27.6% broadly Northwestern European and 0.4% broadly European. So I am almost half Finnish. So these are the full populations, and as you can see for these following populations, except for being broadly European, I'm 0.4%. There's all 0% here. No Middle Eastern or North African, no Sub-Saharan African or South Asian or East Asian and Native American, Ocean or unassigned. So this is the sub-regional resolution, as you can see here. Finnish, Northwestern European 99.6%, 100% European, 21.3% British and Irish, and 0.7% French and German, and 0.6% Scandinavian. Now I'm guessing the 0.6 Scandinavian, which Scandinavia also includes Swedish, and there's been a lot of people from Sweden that migrated over the years into Finland, so I'm guessing I'm 0.6% Swedish, if anything, through the Scandinavian. Let's check out. Okay, these are regional resolutions, so you see there, and global resolution, yeah. So I am European. Okay, so let's go back to my home here. I have 881 relatives that have been found through DNA. So of close family, I've got 2. I've got 33 second and third cousins, and fourth cousins I have 623, and distant cousins like fifth cousins and so forth I have 222. So we'll take a closer look at that. So 881 relatives have been found through my DNA. Okay, so see, this is almost 881. That's 880 for some reason. So this is the list view. Here I am. Canada, Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. That's where I live. Northern Europe is my ancestry. Learie is my last name. My grandmother on my mother's side, her married name was Vastama, and my grandfather on my mother's side, his name was Vastama. Koivisto was my grandmother's name on my mother's side before she married my grandpa. So, and okay, so my daughter is Raven Ashley Lapatak, and she was born 1997, August 21st, 10:58 p.m. in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. And as you can see, she shares 50% of my DNA. So, I've also got a first cousin here, and I have no idea who she is, but she's very closely related to me. She's 7.08% shared DNA with me. I've got a second to fourth cousin, 1.12%. A third cousin, 0.27%. And we'll just browse through this. Third to fourth, third to fourth, third to fourth, third to fourth, third to fourth. So all of these, as you can see, the DNA that I share with these people seems to drop dramatically. Here I've got 0.31% shared DNA. I have on my website, I've shared my ancestry, and there's a report that's available to be viewed and downloaded even of all my distant relatives that I'm related to, all 881 of them. Skip to the second page here. So you can see these numbers here. This is I'll just go through a few pages here. Oh wow, 0.51%. So all the rest of these people I'm related to by less than 0.5%. And we'll skip to the last section here. Okay, so we're on the last page, and this guy, for example, I only share 0.17% of my DNA with him. So 0.12%, 0.25%. Okay, so that's how far the DNA tracking goes, apparently, on 23andme. We'll skip to the first section here. Now, neither of my parents are on 23andme, so I've got no option for mother's side or father's side, but I can sort relationship. Percent shared, number of segments, contact status, first name, last name, age, maternal haplogroup, paternal haplogroup, and most recent. So we'll just take a look at last names here and see what it brings up. Okay, so I'm not quite sure how this works. In this viewing here, there's a way to find out the most common last names that you're related to. Oh, surname view. Maybe that's it. Okay. Okay, so these are the most common surnames that I am related to by their count of people within those surnames that are related to me. Okay, so there's Niemi. Most of these are Finnish names. Latinen, Matilla, Makela, Partinen, Uotila, Turuin, Rantella, Karkianen, Kupila, Karu. I'm gonna stop trying to pronounce these names, but you can see them. Armstrong, Burns, Kennedy, Anderson, Turner, Adams, Thompson, Johnson, Miller, Wilson, Smith, Jones, Williams, Brown. Okay, so I don't know, these are 0 enrichments, but so I'm guessing I'm not sure how the enrichment works, but there seems to be a pattern here. And 5, I'm guessing, yeah, 4th cousins. So I have 5 4th cousins who share the name Brown. And here with Niemi, I've got 9 4th cousins that share the last name with Niemi. I'm going to check out map view. I like map view. Okay. Top locations. So these are the locations with the highest frequency of my relatives, I'm guessing. So Helsinki, Finland, that's the capital of Finland, has 17 relatives. Finland has 11. Scotland, UK has 9. I'm definitely part Irish. New York has 8. Ireland has 8. Wyborg, Leningrad Oblast, Russia has 6. Tampere, Finland has 6. I can't even pronounce that. Finland has 6. These are all the people within the US that I'm related to. So these numbers show the number of people that I'm related to. Like right here in Colorado, there appears to be 4 people that are somehow related to. I can click on them, see 5th cousin, 0.18% shared. And these are people that are related to me through both my mother and father. So again, I don't have the option of choosing one side or another. I can, however, choose degrees of relation through here, but we'll do all relatives for now. So I'm going to scroll back. So this is interesting. Scrolling back here, I have absolutely, well, of course, no relatives in Antarctica whatsoever. Absolutely no relatives in South America. Very interesting. One relative in Mexico. I don't know how many in the US, but it's quite a bit. And I've got quite a few relatives in Canada. None in Alaska or Greenland. Going up on that. Here's some interesting parts here. Now I've got one relative, 4th cousin, 0.41% shared, in Kenya, Africa. So I'm related to someone who lives in Africa. I've got one relative in India, 0.41% shared, 4th cousin. One relative in the Philippines, 4th cousin, 0.18% shared. And one in South Korea, 5th cousin, 0.17% shared. and one in Russia. So Australia, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got 6 relatives in Australia. I'm guessing they're all 4th or 5th cousins. I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, 4th cousin. Mark Lila. So that's kind of cool, but you can see where the heaviest populations are of those I'm related to. So mostly the US and mostly Finland. So let's see, if we take a look through Europe here, I've got quite a few through the United Kingdom and a few through Ireland and Italy, Hungary, Slovakia, Poland, Germany, France, Switzerland. So you can see where I've got one in Poland, but Finland is literally covered with relatives, and you can see I've got quite a bit of relatives in Sweden too. So Sweden and Finland are closely related. One in Norway, so that's why I think I'm like 0.6% Swedish. So look at that. Wow. You can almost see clumps, right? You can see a lot of people in here. So on my mother's side, I think most of us come from Rudavesi, Finland. You can see this. Let's okay, let's look at close relatives. So we're looking at close relatives right now. That's me. My daughter also lives in Edmonton too, so I don't know why she's not appearing on the map. Okay, 1st to 3rd cousins. So when we're looking at 1st to 3rd cousins, I've got 3 in the US, 1 in Germany. Let me actually check this out. 3rd cousin, 0.8% shared. 3rd cousin, 0.27% shared. 3rd cousin, 0.2%. 3rd cousin, 0.2%. Okay, so we checked out Germany, did we? Yeah. Okay, let's look at this. Let's get a zoom in there. 0.42%. 3rd cousin, 0.49%. 3rd cousin, 0.49%. 0.32%. 0.51%. 0.51%. 0.51%. Oh, this person's got a complete profile. That's cool. 3rd cousin, 0.34%. The problem with having Finnish relatives is I don't speak Finnish, and it's very hard to understand them. There's definitely a communication barrier there. 0.42% and 0.41%. Okay, so now Let's look at 4th to 5th cousins. See, so now the list gets really populated. But looking through Canada, got 2 in Newfoundland, 1 in Quebec. Let's zoom in there. 1 in Montreal. 2 in Ottawa. 2 in Toronto. 1 nearby Sudbury. 2 in Ontario. 3 in Winnipeg. 5 in Saskatchewan. 4 including my daughter in Alberta, and 4 in BC. So, okay, I think we did some good browsing through there. We got a fairly good idea of where I'm from. Let's just zoom in on Europe a little bit. I know we covered Europe, but I just want to get a good shot of it. Yeah. Let's zoom in on the United Kingdom a bit. Okay, United Kingdom, there we go. No. Ireland. Norway and Sweden. Let's check out Finland here. Okay, so this doesn't tell you very much, but it's definitely representative of migration patterns and relations. Okay, so we're going to get out of here. And we're going to look at these two. So maternal line. So this is these are genetic markers that mutate along the sex chromosomes. So they change every few thousand years, and mitochondrial DNA is on the X chromosome, and then the Y has its mutations, but it's not mitochondrial DNA. So because I'm a man, I have an X and a Y chromosome, and on the X chromosome that makes up part of who I am part of this subgroup. My mother, and part of me is the J2A1A subgroup of J2. You can see here, maternal haplogroups are families of mitochondrial DNA types that all trace back to a single mutation at a specific place in time. By looking at the geographic distribution of mitochondrial DNA types, we learn how our ancient female ancestors migrated throughout the world. So these age more than 20,000 years. region, Europe and the Near East. And example populations, Dutch, German, Spanish, Italian. J2 may have entered Britain with invading Anglo-Saxons. So here's a little map that shows basically the small migratory paths. Haplogroup J originated about 45,000 years ago on the Arabian Peninsula, just as modern humans were first expanding out of Africa and onto the Eurasian continent. Two subsequent migrations carried daughter lineages of J, including J2, into Europe. These migrations coincided with the spread of farming into Europe about 7,000 years ago. So let's this is the haplotree. Okay, so that's me through my mother. So a woman has two X chromosomes, so she can only know her mitochondrial DNA. Unfortunately, she can't know the male counterpart, but basically you can see the migration of the different permutations to mitochondrial Eve right there. So let's look at my paternal line that I inherited from my father, Wayne Wellington Learie. Okay, so I am R1A1A before the widespread of migration of the past few hundred years. Paternal haplogroups are families of Y chromosomes that all trace back to a single mutation at a specific place and time. By looking at the geographic distribution of these related lineages, we learn how our ancient male ancestors migrated throughout the world. R1A1A is a subgroup of R1, age 12,000 years, region, Eastern Europe, Scandinavian, Southwestern Asia, India. Example populations, Ukrainians, Indians, Poles. R1A1A is the most common haplogroup in Eastern Europe. R1A1A is the primary haplogroup of Eastern Europe, where it spread after the end of the Ice Age about 12,000 years ago. The haplogroup is most common in a swath from Ukraine and the Balkans north and west into Scandinavia, along with the path of the men who followed the receding glaciers into Europe. It is also common near its presumed point of origin in South Central Asia. And my daughter Raven Ashley Lapatak, this haplogroup wouldn't be expressed in her, but because I'm her father, she would associate this male haplogroup with me. So if we look at this on the haplotree here, that's me right there. So these are all different mutations. And so these haplogroups are like the definitive scientific way to discern between races. This is Adam, genetic Adam. So you can see the different haplogroups, F, K, R, of which I'm part. Then there's S and T, and so forth. Okay, let's look at my Neanderthal ancestry. I am 2.3% Neanderthal. It says it's the 10th percentile. I don't know what that actually means. So what, I'm actually a caveman? Actually, yes, but that has little to do with the percentage of Neanderthal DNA in your genome. Our perception of Neanderthals as big oafs is clouded by our own notion of superiority and pulp culture characters. How we are different and why modern humans survived and Neanderthals didn't is still a mystery. Interesting fact is that Neanderthals actually had larger brains than humans did. It's true. Okay, so it says I rate 8th among my friends. I don't really have friends on 23andme. From bones like these three found in Vindaja cave in Croatia, scientists extracted Neanderthal DNA. Using these samples, they are painstakingly assembled the Neanderthal genome sequence. Okay, so here's some Ancestry tools. We'll take a look at that. Countries of Ancestry, they disabled that. I don't know why. It was pretty decent. It's no longer available. Okay. Family inheritance. Compare your DNA bit by bit to see the segments you share with close and distant families. Haplogroup tree mutation mapper. This feature shows you which particular mutations in a person's mitochondrial DNA or Y chromosome were used to determine your haploassignment. In this map, each icon on card represents a person. The closer two people are on the map, the closer they're genetically. You can see how close you are to populations around the world. Oh, that sounds interesting. Let's check that out. Okay, so European, that's me in the yellow, and I absolutely have nothing in common with Africans, South Asians, Oceanians, Native Americans, East Asian, or Near Eastern. So, fun fact. And this makes a song out of your DNA. That's kind of cheesy. Genetic risk factors. Okay, let's check this out. Alzheimer's disease, APO variants. Higher risk. Has one copy of the APO3 variant and one copy of the 4 variant, genotype 3-4. The E4 variant is associated with higher risk for developing Alzheimer's disease. Interesting fact, my grandpa had Alzheimer's disease. So there's my future, folks. Alzheimer's. And possibly higher risk. Has M and 1Z version of Sapernia gene. People with this combination may be in increased risk for liver disease and may experience decreased lung function if they smoke. I do smoke, so I could experience some decreased lung function. That sucks. The rest of these are all typical risks. Okay. Actually, I want to take a look at this one here. If this condition runs in your family, you think you might have this, consult with the healthcare provider about appropriate testing. Other factors can influence your risk for this condition, even if you don't have variants covered by this report. Okay. It's a disorder that can lead to lung and liver disease. Normally, a protective protein called alpha-1 keeps the lungs safe from damaging substances. Is caused by variants in a gene called which makes the AAT protein. The onset and severity depend on which variants are involved and other risk factors such as exposure to tobacco smoke. Okay. Has one M and one Z version of serpinia gene. People with this combination may be at increased risk for liver disease and may experience decreased lung function if they smoke. I like the me in there. That's good. Okay, so that sucks. These are drug responses. Protein pump inhibitor metabolism rapid. Likely an rapid metabolizer. Okay. So not much for drug responses. I mean, there's far more drugs out there than this. But inherited conditions. Okay, this is interesting. Come on, connect. Okay, so you can see these variants are absent. This is good. My grandmother on my father's side has already lived to 101, so that's pretty cool. So you see all those variants are absent. So it doesn't test for everything, obviously, but traits. Okay, here we go. Traits. Alcohol flush reaction does not flush. Bitter taste perception, unlikely to taste. Actually, I've tasted bitter food, so I'm skeptical of that. Blonde hair, 28% chance. I've got dirty blonde hair. Earwax, wet. That's true. Eye color, likely blue. Actually, my eye color is green. Slightly curlier than hair on average. That's true. Likely tolerant to milk. Yes, that's true. Malaria resistance. I know nothing about that. Not resistant. Okay. Male pattern baldness. Decreased odds. Thank you, God. Likely sprinter. This one really surprised me because I always thought I had far more slow twitch muscles, and I always thought I was much more into endurance. See report. Okay. I believe I'm A positive for my blood type. Or I could be A negative. God, I can't remember now.
You're positive.
I'm positive, love?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm A positive, so yeah, apparently they can tell your blood type. Isn't that cool? Oh. Red hair, less than 1% chance. Smoking behavior, if a smoker, likely to smoke more. That's true. That's true. Smoke 2 more cigarettes per day on average than typical amount. Asparagus, metabolic, higher odds of detecting. I can detect asparagus. Birth weight, See report caffeine consumption. See report. I'm a slow metabolizer of caffeine. So let's get all these reports here. Associated with this. Let's see. Breast morphology, not applicable. Okay. Typical if European or African, yep. Increased episodic memory, that's cool. Typical sensitivity to sweaty odor. And pain sensitivity typical with only 2 stars of certainty. Okay, so that's basically 23andme. And I'm going to wrap this video up. Oh, family traits. What's this? I'll just take a quick look at that first. Oh, okay. This is... yeah. This is how this all... Okay, so that's how that all ties in there. Actually, let's go back. I want to do this more thorough. I want to see these reports here. Okay, birth weight. See report. Okay, well, that's 23andme. It's been 42 minutes, so I'm going to end this, but is it worth it? I don't know. You have to decide for yourself. I'm Darryl Learie, and thank you for watching.